So the fragrance we're doing today is none other than Dueto Golden Boy. The votes were in, counted them. It was close between this and Dior Higher, but Golden Boy rose above and conquered. And so, Golden Boy by Dueto was introduced in 2010. It is considered a niche fragrance. Comes out of the house of Dueto, which is based in New York City. And basically, the gist for Dueto is they try to do fragrances that capture smells that you'd get throughout major cities in the world. So that's what they're kind of going for, and you'll see that in the presentation as well. So this is the presentation. Here's the box, Golden Boy. As you can see, it's got all the major cities in the world listed on the box. Paris, Moscow, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Shanghai, New York, San Francisco, a bunch, I mean, it's got everything listed on here, basically, London. So, that is the box, and actually the bottle looks pretty much exactly the same. Same theme going on with the bottle. This is, I can't tell if it's glass or if it's like a, I'm pretty sure it's or porcelain. It's one of the two. I'm pretty sure it's glass. And then this Golden Boy right here, and all the names are all raised lettering on the bottle. So it's not engraved, it's raised. So it gives you a little bit of texture for the bottle, a little easier to hold on to, so it's not so smooth, won't slip out of your hands that way. Almost gives it like a rubber feel. Cap comes off, just a standard plain cap. It's not really, I don't think it's cheap plastic, it's a little heavy plastic. Sprayer works really, really nicely. And so yes, Golden Boy by Dueto. Comes in one size, 100 ml, 3.4 ounce. You're looking at $80 to $115 to purchase Dueto Golden Boy. Now this is actually the first and only fragrance I've smelled by Dueto, and I believe they have maybe 3 or 4 fragrances. This one I believe is the one that's strictly for men, and there's one that's strictly for women, and then there's one that's unisex. Those are so maybe there's 3 fragrances if I'm not mistaken. But for this particular fragrance, the reason why it stuck out for me personally was I was reading some comments on base notes, and being that Tuscan leather is my favorite, ultimate favorite leather-based fragrance of all time, everyone was saying that this fragrance smelled like Tuscan leather. So, since it's a cheaper alternative, I figured what the hey, got myself a sample, loved it, and purchased the bottle. Let's talk about the notes in the fragrance, and then we'll talk about what this fragrance actually is completely composed of and what it is that it smells like to me. So the notes are saffron, violet leaf, lavender, cedar, thyme, leather, musk, incense, vanilla, and suede. So with the note lineup, you can see that it's almost identical to Tuscan leather. The few differences that stick out are the violet leaf and the suede. The main thing that's going to be different with this fragrance, when you first spray it on, is the fact that it's got this really nice green opening matched with the very potent leather. So the very green opening reminds me of the greenness in what you'd find in Fahrenheit and actually Bleecker Street a little bit from Bond Number 9. Bleecker Street being a very, very, very green fragrance with that very potent green opening. It reminds me of that mixed with the leather that you get from Tuscan leather. Now, that being said, there is no raspberry note listed in this note lineup, but every single person that I've asked, when I wore Tuscan leather on one wrist and Dueto Golden Boy on the other wrist, said that they both smelled like fruity leather fragrances. and that they could hardly tell the difference. That being said, this out of the bottle, out of the atomizer, sniffing it like this, smells identical to Tuscan Leather, including the raspberry note. Um, Now, I will say this: most people that I've spoke to about the opening of this fragrance and comparing the opening on one wrist and the other wrist said that they noticed that the Tuscan Leather is definitely a lot more potent and not as smooth. I think the smoothness comes from the added suede note in this fragrance. Suede, with every fragrance I've ever tried, doesn't really, it has like this fuzzy, velvety feeling to it that like smooths things out. Mixed with the vanilla makes this a much smoother composition, not as rough around the edges. It's a lot more subtle than Tuscan Leather. Tuscan Leather projects like a beast. This projects like a beast for the first hour or so, but definitely more subdued, a little bit easier to pull off, and actually a little bit more intimate with the added sweetness from the vanilla. Both are sweet though, the raspberry and Tuscan Leather, and actually getting back to the fruitiness of Golden Boy, I was asked if there was maybe strawberry in the note lineup. So this still gives the red fruit type smell to it, mixed with the potent leather. You just get a few added elements to it, like the greenness and of course the smoother composition. Plus, it does not project or last as long. So, comparison of Tuscan Leather to Golden Boy out of the way. Let's get back to this fragrance. I bumped my elbow. Sorry. For this particular fragrance, who can pull this off? When is it appropriate to pull it off? What's the versatility with it? It's not versatile. It really isn't. Any fragrance that has potent leather in it, I'm talking Mona de Oreo Cure, I'm talking Tuscan Leather, obviously, and any sort of leather fragrance like that, it's all on you. Can you pull it off in the first place? So you have to ask yourself that question because these are potent leather fragrances. They're manly. There is nothing feminine about these kinds of leather fragrances at all. There's nothing. Now this is more subdued than Tuscan Leather, but it's still very, very manly. I've gotten the comments before, "You're all man" type comments. Okay, so I'm letting you know right now. Be warned. You can't pull off Tuscan Leather. Maybe give this a shot because it's not so loud, but you're going to fall into the same issues with maybe leather's not right for you. If you feel like you can't pull off Tuscan Leather, perhaps you cannot pull off Dueto Golden Boy. So really, for versatility, I would honestly say any type of leather fragrance like this, it's based on confidence and it's based on maturity. So that being said, I mean, if you're 20 and you want to pull this off, Godspeed. I mean, I owned Tuscan Leather when I was 19. If you are 25 and you can pull it off, great. If you're 18 and you got the money for it, go ahead. It's very much a confidence-based fragrance, just like Tuscan Leather, in my honest opinion. But at the same time, it's very elegant. So if you can pull off leather in the first place, this fragrance smells like nothing on the market as far as designer goes, much like Tuscan Leather, and you will get noticed and you will stand out. You will smell like you've spent some money on your fragrance. Also, towards the mid and dry down of this fragrance, it becomes very sensual in my opinion, and honestly, got more compliments with this than I have with the Tuscan Leather because of the mid and dry down with the vanilla and suede, and women tend to dig this fragrance. So if you're interested in finding a more unique, cozy, cuddly, intimate fragrance, this works very well. And like I said, it is a classy fragrance. But ask yourself in the first place, can I pull this kind of potent leather off? That's the main question to ask before pulling the trigger on Golden Boy or Tuscan Leather. As far as the projection and longevity, like I already said, it's not quite as good as Tuscan leather, but you're still on beast mode with this thing. Projection for this is great for the first hour, gets a little closer to the skin second hour, and then becomes more of you can smell me from, you know, out here. Maybe 2 feet away, you can still smell me. And then maybe 8 hours in, a foot away, and then here, and then as you pass me by. So it doesn't drastically disintegrate into a skin scent. It very much sticks around for most of the day, but it still is not as potent as Tuscan leather. And the longevity, I'm getting maybe 12 hours with this, give or take 10, 12 hours. And it's been kind of weird in New York. Today was very cold, but yesterday was like a spring day, and it worked even better with the, it was 60 degrees out, and it worked very, very well in the 60 degrees. It wasn't too cloying, but it was perfect, in my opinion. But very much for season-based fragrance, I think that this would work best for winter, fall, and then early spring. This is not a summer fragrance or a late spring fragrance. I'm talking 70 degrees and below. Anything above that, you're just going to be cloying and you're not going to enjoy the fragrance. I stick with 3 sprays with this. One to the chest, one to the neck, one to the back of the neck. It's what I tend to do with these more potent fragrances. And for the compliment factor, I have been, like I said, I've been dipping into these more masculine fragrances lately and really enjoying them. Going back to Fahrenheit, going back to one of my absolute other favorite, actually my second favorite leather-based fragrance, Mona de Oreo Cure. I very much enjoy smelling like a cowboy. And so I've been really enjoying these more potent, in-your-face leather-based fragrance, and this is no exception. This is very good, potent juice. It's well worth the price if you are a fan, a huge fan of Tuscan leather. You're not going to want to miss out on this fragrance. It is worth every penny, and it's a better bang for your buck. The only thing that's different, as I said, primarily is the violet leaf, and it's a smoother fragrance that does not last quite as long or project quite as well, but it's still beast mode. That being said, I do give Golden Boy a 9 out of 10, and it will be in my collection for as long as they are creating Dueto Golden Boy. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all later.